Hello everyone, it's Casey here at my YouTube channel, the Astrology. I'm doing a follow-up on a video I posted a few weeks ago on Astro Theology, how Jesus is the sun. So this is kind of a part 2 to that video. So if you haven't watched that one yet, it's really important that you check that one out first before you truly understand this. Unless you already are into astrotheology, if you already know of astrotheology. Okay, so Jesus is the sun, but actually Christ, more specifically, it's Christ is the sun. And Jesus is Pisces. Jesus is the personification of a Pisces sun, of a Pisces character, because we've been in the age of Pisces over the last 2,000 or so years, 2,160 years. Well, technically, it's now 2026, so we still have a ways to go in Pisces. So it's only been 2026 years, apparently, since the age of Pisces. Anyway, Jesus is the personification of Pisces. Pisces is a very mystical sign. It's a very, it's a sign of healing, right? Jesus was a mystic and a healer. He performed, mystical powers. He personified compassion. He personified empathy and forgiveness. All higher attributes of the sign of Pisces. He was able to, perform miracles, almost supernatural things. Like I said, Pisces strong. They have a very strong connection to the angelic and mystical realms, right? So, in other words, when you see the Jesus Lives logo on the back of people's cars, it's personifying the age of Pisces, because Jesus is the fish. So that Jesus Lives fish is the Pisces, is the age of Pisces, which started approximately about 2,000 years ago, is when they said Christianity had started, which, is about Jesus, the personification of Jesus Christ, or the Pisces sun. And like I was saying in the last video, Christ means Christos, which means oil, and that is a cerebral spinal fluid, or the natural oils in our head and hair that get reproduced every month when the moon transits your sun sign. And it has actually a little bit of a kind of like a fishy odor, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. But Jupiter was Zeus in mythology, and Jupiter rules Pisces traditionally, and I would still say mainly. So hence you get Jesus, so Jesus, Jesus. And Jesus was baptized at 12, and that is one Jupiter revolution. So approximately every 12 years, Jupiter goes through the zodiac, every 12 years. And we start puberty at around that time. When Jupiter makes its return, Jupiter return, you are hitting puberty at that time. And then you are getting baptized with that cerebral spinal fluid, or that sexual seed to procreate. And you are now responsible for how you raise that fluid and not squander its essence. So again, go back to my first video. I'll make more videos on that particular thing too in the future. And this is also kind of why, back in ancient time, and well, apparently it's still going on with all the trafficking, is that, men would take wives at 12 because nature permitted them, that they have the sexual instinct in them, and they would want younger life force to merge with, because that was said to help, them stay young, because they're merging with that DNA and that life force. And apparently that's still happening, because with all the trafficking and all that. And then Jesus started his ministry at the age of 30, which is one Saturn revolution. Saturn takes about 28 and a half to about 29 and a half, 30 years approximately, when we actually really enter into adulthood, when we truly are naturally and maturely an adult, not at the age of 18 legally, but comfortable in our own skin as an adult. Naturally is one Saturn revolution at the age of 30. And this is kind of why people, if they don't have their stuff together, they can kind of break down at 30. It's like, oh, I thought I was going to be married and have children by then and have a plan and know what I'm doing and be stable. And then sometimes people have nervous breakdowns at 30 because of that, and they go through a tough time during their Saturn return and whatnot. But anyway, let's go over here. Another thing about Pisces, Virgo and Pisces are an axis, right? They're opposite signs, so they're part of the same coin. And Virgo is the 6th sign, Pisces is the 12th sign, and the first 6 signs represent spirit. And Virgo is the last sign to represent the spirit. And then Libra through Pisces is matter. The last 6 signs represent matter. So this axis actually represents the completion of spirit and matter. It completes the entire zodiac. And Virgo is about health, and Pisces is about spirituality. And one thing I forget what verse it was, I'll have to double check, but Jesus fed 5,000 people with 2 fish and a loaf of bread. Now Virgo represents the harvest, and it was Bethlehem, which was the solar plexus, which was associated with Virgo, the body part, that chakra area, which represent Bethlehem meant house of bread. So the bread is Virgo, or the harvest, and how you have to harvest the crops, before winter to make sure that we have food for the winter, right? So Virgo is all about harvest, making sure things got done, the final act in spirit of the first 6 signs. And then Pisces is the completion of the entire thing of matter, which is why they say Pisces feels all the world on their shoulders, and they've been through everything. So they're an old soul. And this is when Jesus fed 5,000 people with a loaf of bread and 2 fish. That's representing the Virgo and Pisces axis, because when you complete this axis, you're able to perform miracles. When you balance out health, Virgo, and spirituality, Pisces, you can perform miracles. So that's kind of basically what they're talking about there. They're talking about the Pisces-Virgo axis, because Pisces is the 2 fish swimming in opposite directions, and Virgo represents the harvest, which represents the bread. And then the age of Aquarius, Aquarius is the water bearer. They are John the Baptist. They bear the water. They hold the pitcher of water. This is why in Luke 22:10 it says, "Behold, when you have entered the city, a man will meet you carrying a pitcher of water. Follow him into the house which he enters." And house, we know about, and if you follow astrology, that there are 12 houses. They refer to them as houses. So Aquarius is John the Baptist because he is the water bearer. He bears the water, and Aquarius is that water is here to cleanse us. And we're going into the age of Aquarius. We're in the dawning. We still got some ways to go, because it's 2,160 years, so it should be the year 2160. But Aquarius is here to cleanse us of our sins in the second coming, which is the age of Aquarius. when Jesus comes back to a new age. It's not the end of the world, it's the end of the age. World translates to eon, which translates to age. So that's basically what it's saying there. And when they talk about John the Baptist getting beheaded, that's because moving easterly, the figure constellation of Aquarius, where the head is depicted, appears like it's getting cut off at the horizon. So they say John the Baptist was beheaded. His head was served on a platter, right? It's just another metaphor. It's not literal. Very much is literal in the Bible. I mean, very, very little. But anyway, that's just this is a follow-up here. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about the Christos and the oil. There's also the oil, the cerebrospinal fluid. It does kind of have a fishy odor, which is, again, Pisces, the fish, because it represents all the completion of the 12 cell salts. And the thing is, if I know that sometimes women can have a issue with the odor down there that can smell a little fishy, but take that as not such a good sign that you're not raising the fluid properly if you have that problem. And men can still have this smell down there too, but you need to be aware of that. It's not a good sign if it is smelling like that, because then you're not properly replenishing or doing right practices with your temple or your body. So go ahead, check my first video out. This was a follow-up, and I'll do more Astro Theology videos and certain specific things I'll follow up that I talked about on this video. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. Don't just take care, but give care too, and I will see you guys next time.